The very first herbal oil I ever made was from the flowers of the St. John's wort plant. I read about making the oil in an inspiring book called Health Through God's Pharmacy, written by an Austrian herbalist. I followed the directions, but nothing prepared me for the neon red color of the oil. It felt like alchemy indeed. It is one of the most useful oils I make. It works on the skin's nervous system. Believe it or not, the flowers start to appear on St. John's Wort Day, which is June 23rd. I've observed this phenomenon for 30 years. Be patient, and one day at the end of June, you will see bright yellow flowers blooming everywhere in wild spaces throughout the area. The plants will be in one area for a couple of years, then disappear, and then appear somewhere else. You use the newly opened flowers and buds to make the oil. The flowers and leaves contain tiny red drops of an oil-soluble constituent which makes a vivid red oil. Your fingers will stain red as you collect the flowers. Collect the newly opened flowers in the morning after the dew has dried. You'll be competing with the bees. I find that it makes a difference if you collect the flowers on a sunny day. It seems to make a stronger and redder oil. And I collect the flowers throughout their flowering season, which seems to last about a month. I place the flowers in a glass jar, really packing the flowers into the jar. I then fill the jar up with olive oil. Olive oil has a good, stable shelf life, so I like to use that oil. I make sure the oil is over the flowers by an inch or so I check on it in the next couple of days. Some people leave the flowers overnight and then add the oil. The St. John's wort plant flowers all during the month, so I sometimes will just keep on adding new flowers to my prepared oil. I cover the oil jars with a paper towel cover, which helps evaporate the water that's in the oil. I let the oil sit for about 4 to 6 weeks in a sunny window in my house. Another method is to use a yogurt maker. I've been using the same yogurt maker for over 40 years. It fits small canning jars and I can make several oils at once. 100 degrees seems to be an optimal temperature for making oils. I leave them in the yogurt maker for 2 weeks. Sometimes if your St. John's wort oil isn't as red as you want it to be, just heating it up for a couple of days in a yogurt maker helps bring out the red. I use a strainer with several pieces of nylon netting cloth to strain out the flowers from the oil. It's helpful to write down the date that the oil is ready. It's easy to forget when you first make the oil. I really squeeze out the oil from the plant material, and then I put it in a glass container because it contains a lot of impurities such as seeds and watery goo that you don't want in your final product. I let all my oils sit out for a week or so till the impurities have settled down to the bottom of the container. Sometimes it takes longer. Label your oil and be patient. This is a very important step that I rarely see explained. Cover the container with plastic wrap and label it and put a date on it. The impurities will fall to the bottom of the jar. Transfer the oil into a glass container for long-term storage carefully, leaving all the gooey stuff behind. And of course, label your creation. You apply the St. John's wort oil to the skin for painful conditions such as cold sores, chicken pox, shingles, especially works with shingles, and herpes. It helps alleviate chronic nerve pain such as neuropathy. It helps sore muscles, carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, and painful shoulder problems. I always carry St. John's wort oil in my first aid kit. It is particularly useful on sunburns.